What is up, guys? EJ here, back with another video, and today it's going to be my Blu-ray DVD collection for 2020 and comedy part 3. So last time we finished in the middle of the P's right here. So starting off, up first we have Pineapple Express from 2008. Two-disc unrated special edition. Yeah, great stoner comedy with Seth Rogen, James Franco, Gary Cole, Rosie Perez, Danny McBride. Up next we have a couple of Pink Panther films from 1964 with David Niven, of course, Peter Sellers, absolute classic, and I also got A Shot in the Dark. Yeah, fantastic movies these. Up next we have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, absolute classic from 1987, one of John Hughes' best films with Steve Martin and John Candy. Just a brilliant film, one of the best of the 80s. Up next we have The Player, directed by Robert Altman, one of my favorite Robert Altman films from 1992 with fantastic Tim Robbins, Greta Scacchi, Fred Ward, Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, just a great film about the movie business. Absolutely loved The Player. Up next we have the Police Academy franchise, the first one from 1984. Still a fun movie, of course. Steve Guttenberg. I do enjoy the Police Academy films, even though watching them now they might have a different meaning with the call for police reform that's going on these days. Police Academy 2, their first assignment from 1985. I think that's the one that introduced Bobcat Goldthwait. Police Academy 3 from 1986. This is one of my favorite sequels, probably my favorite sequel. Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol from 1987. Not a great sequel, one of my least favorite ones. Probably my second favorite sequel is the fifth one, Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach from 1988. It's just ridiculous. I just love this as one of the sequels. Up next, Police Academy 6, City Under Siege, another terrible sequel from what I remember from 1989. And last but not least, or certainly least in this case, Mission to Moscow from 1994. Alright, up next we have a film called Pride from 2014. Yeah, good British film with Bill Nighy, Imelda Staunton, Dominic West, Paddy Considine. Up next we have Primary Colors, fantastic political comedy from 1998, directed by Mike Nichols with John Travolta, Emma Thompson, Kathy Bates, fantastic in this, Rob Reiner. Alright, up next we have Howard Stern's Private Parts from 1997, of course. Big Howard Stern fan back in the 90s, early 2000s. Robin Quivers, of course. Paul Giamatti's fantastic in this as well. Yeah, I haven't listened to Howard much recently. I'll catch, like, if there's an interview he does, I'll look for it on YouTube. I'll just look up Howard Stern interview 2019 or whatever and see if there's any interesting interviews of people I'm interested in to check out what Howard's talking about these days. Up next we have Pushing Tin from 1999. Yeah, underrated comedy about rival air traffic controllers with John Cusack, Billy Bob Thornton, Angelina Jolie, and Cate Blanchett. Up next we have Raising Arizona from 1987, early Coen Brothers classic, of course, with Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter. Up next we have The Walker from 2008 with Rainn Wilson. Not great from what I remember. Another film from 2008 which is great, and that is Role Models with Paul Rudd, Sean William Scott, Anthony Mintz-Plasse, or as you all probably know him as McLovin. Okay, up next we have Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion from 1997. Yeah, really fun movie with Mira Sorvino and Lisa Kudrow. Like I said, Mira Sorvino had a moment in the late 90s, and this was definitely one of them. Janine Garofalo is great in this movie as well. I really enjoyed that film. Soundtrack is great. Up next we have Rough Night from 2017, or just Rough Night with Scarlett Johansson, Kate McKinnon. Your usual girl comedy of the late 2010s. Up next we have The Rules of Attraction, fantastic film from 2002 with James Van Der Beek, Shannon Sossamon, Jessica Biel. I wonder whatever has happened to her in recent years. I haven't heard from her in a while. Yeah. Alright guys, moving on. Up next we have Ruthless People from 1986 with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler. Up next we have SFW from 1994 with Stephen Dorff and Reese Witherspoon. This film could probably easily go in the crime section, but it has comedic undertones. That's why it's in this section. Up next we have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World from 2010. Yeah, great fun Edgar Wright film with Michael Cera and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I've always liked as an actress. I just watched Birds of Prey last week, and I thought she was really fun in that. Jason Schwartzman in this. Wow, Chris Evans. I totally forgot about Chris Evans in this. Yeah, Anna Kendrick. Really fun movie, that one. Up next we have The Secret of My Success from 1987. Classic Michael J. Fox 80s comedy. Up next we have Seeking a Friend for the End of the World with Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. Pretty fun from what I remember. I should take that out because these are a little tight in here. Up next we have Serial Mom from 1994, underrated John Waters film. Up next we have The 7-Year Itch, classic film from Billy Wilder with Marilyn Monroe and Tom Ewell. Up next we have Sex Tape from 2014, I believe, with Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz. Up next we have Shallow Hal, yeah, Farrelly Brothers film from 2001, I believe, with Jack Black, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jason Alexander, of course, George Costanza from Seinfeld. I like that film, even though it probably couldn't get made today, to be honest. Up next we have She Done Him Wrong from 1933, Mae West classic with Cary Grant. Up next we have She's Out of My League from 2010 with Jay Baruchel. Alice Eve, absolutely gorgeous in that movie. Yeah, fun movie from what I remember. Up next we have Sideways. Yeah, fantastic film by Alexander Payne, I believe, from 2004 with Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church, Virginia Madsen, and Sandra Oh. Next we have Sisters, I believe from like 2015 with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler doing their thing as usual. Up next we have Snatched from 2017 with Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn. Okay, not great, but yeah, it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it. Up next we have Splash, another Tom Hanks 80s comedy classic, of course, with Daryl Hannah, Eugene Levy, and John Candy from 1984. Up next we have St. Vincent from 2014. Yeah, underrated flick with really good performance by Bill Murray. Naomi Watts is wonderful, and Melissa McCarthy. Next, Starsky and Hutch from 2004 with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. I didn't watch the TV show as a kid, but I do enjoy the car. I do have a die-cast version of the car from Starsky and Hutch. Snoop Dogg in this one as well. Make sure that goes in the right place. Step Brothers from 2008, absolute classic, of course, with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, one of the funniest movies of the 2000s. Up next, we have the Canadian Hoser beer comedy Strange Brew from 1983. Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas, Max von Sydow. Not a great movie, but it has its place. Next, we have Stranger Than Fiction. I love this film from 2006. I think it's one of Will Ferrell's best performances. Maggie Gyllenhaal. Emma Thompson's fantastic, Dustin Hoffman, and Queen Latifah. Up next, we have Stuntman from 1980, Richard Rush film with Peter O'Toole and Barbara Hershey. Really nice limited 2-disc edition here. Up next, we have another really underrated film from 1995. I'm not going to throw out all my Kevin Spacey movies. He's a good actor despite what he's been done over the years and what he's been accused of in recent years. Yeah, this movie from 95 is really good with Frank Whaley, and Kevin Spacey's just savage in it. Alright guys, moving on. Up next we have Swingers from 1996, one of my favorite comedies of the 90s with Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau, of course. Fantastic movie directed by Doug Liman. Heather Graham, Ron Livingston. I just love everything about this film. The setting, the style, the music. Just a great story. Just fantastic film. I absolutely love Swingers. Up next, we have Tag from 2018, one of my favorite comedies of a couple years ago with Jeremy Renner, who's great, Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, John Hamm. Really fun movie. Up next, we have Take Me Home Tonight from 2011 with Topher Grace and Anna Faris. Loved the song. The film wasn't as good, but still pretty fun. Up next, we have Ted. You know how much I love Ted if you've seen my Ted replica. Yeah, great movie from 2012 by Seth MacFarlane, starring Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis. Of course, MacFarlane voices Ted himself. And I also got the sequel, Ted 2 from 2015. Still loads of fun. Not as good as the first one, but still great. Up next, we have Thank You for Smoking from 2005. Absolutely fantastic movie with Aaron Eckhart, Maria Bello, Katie Holmes, Sam Elliott, William H. Macy, Robert Duvall, Adam Brody. Fantastic movie. Next, we have There's Something About Mary, widescreen collector's edition, of course. Fantastic. Cameron Diaz, just wonderful. Ben Stiller, just a brilliant film. Brett Favre, definitely one of the Farrelly's brothers' best movies. Forgot to put this one back in. Where did it go? Secret Seeking. Okay, there it goes. Alright. Up next, we have The Thin Man from 1934 with William Powell and Myrna Loy. There's a series of these films, like 3 or 4 or 5, I think. But the original is the only one I have. Up next, we have This Is 40 from 2012 with Leslie Mann and Paul Rudd. Another decent movie from the Apatow crew, of course. Up next, we have This Is the End. From the Seth Rogen crew, of course, from 2015. Hilarious, fun movie. Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, James Franco, Emma Watson, hilarious appearance. Danny McBride, Jonah Hill, Craig Robinson, Michael Cera. Just a fantastic, fun movie. Up next, we have This Means War from 2012. Pretty decent from what I remember with Chris Pine and Tom Hardy, Reese Witherspoon. Up next, we have To Die For from 1995. Fantastic movie with Nicole Kidman and blanking on his name all of a sudden. Matt Dillon, yeah, really good film by Gus Van Sant. Up next, we have a special 2-film set of Topper and Topper Returns. Topper from 1937 with Cary Grant, Constance Bennett, and Roland Young. Topper Returns from 1941. Up next, we have Trading Places, one of my favorite comedies of the 1980s, of course, with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy from 1983. Jamie Lee Curtis, just fantastic as well. Love this film. Up next, we have Trainspotting from 1996, another great film from that year, with Ewan McGregor, of course, Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle. Yeah, fantastic film by Danny Boyle. And I also got the sequel, some backwards for some reason, some 21 years later, T2 Trainspotting. From 2017. Not as good as the original, but still pretty decent. Up next, we have Trainwreck. Yeah, Amy Schumer, I thought was fine in this. Bill Hader. Yeah, from 2015. I liked it a lot. LeBron James, I think, is in that one. He's in one of those Amy Schumer comedies. Up next, we have Trial and Error, really underrated, fun comedy from 1997 with Michael Richards and Jeff Daniels. Charlize Theron, absolutely gorgeous in this movie, as always. I recently watched her in that Netflix film, The Old Guard. She was really good in that. I like that film a lot. Up next, we have The Trouble with Harry from 1955. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock film with Shirley MacLaine, Edmund Gwenn. Up next, we have Twin Town from 1996. And I'm only just realizing that this is a, I think this is a Region 2 DVD. Because it has the 18 logo on it. I thought I had an American version of this. That's interesting. I'll have to see if this plays in my bloody player. Oh well. I used to have a region-free player, but I don't know what the hell happened to it. Anyway, moving on. Up next, we have Twins from 1988. Classic, of course, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And another classic from the late 80s, Uncle Buck from 1989. Wonderful performance by John Candy. Great John Hughes film. Macaulay Culkin, of course. Alright guys, moving on. Up next we have Unfinished Business from 2015, I believe, with Vince Vaughn, Tom Wilkinson, and Dave Franco. Not great from what I remember, but okay. Up next we have Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, special collector's edition. Love this movie, of course, with Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong from 1978. The only Cheech and Chong film that I have, to be fair. Up next we have Up in the Air from 2009. Yeah, fantastic movie with George Clooney and Vera Farmiga. Anna Kendrick, wonderful as well. From Jason Reitman, just a fantastic movie. Up next we have the National Lampoon's Vacation movies. The first one, of course, Chevy Chase, wonderful, from 1983, 20th anniversary special edition. I also got the sequel, European Vacation, from 1985. Fun sequel, not as good as the first. Like I said, Christmas Vacation, which I showed in my Christmas collection. This is probably my favorite. I don't have Vegas Vacation, which I've seen plenty of times on TV. I just never had the urge to buy it. But it's okay, compared with the other ones. And I also got the 2015 remake, I want to say, with Ed Helms and Christina Applegate. It has its moments, that film. Up next, we have another National Lampoons, and that is Van Wilder from 2002. Yeah, one of Ryan Reynolds' first breakout hits with Tara Reid. I like this one a lot. Also considering getting the sequel eventually. The sequel's okay, but I don't remember. I don't think even Ryan Reynolds was even in the sequel, or barely in it. Up next, we have Very Bad Things, a really good dark comedy from 1998 with Christian Slater, Cameron Diaz, Daniel Stern, Jeremy Piven. Yeah, just fantastic movie about a bachelor party in Vegas that goes horribly wrong. Alright, up next we have Wag the Dog, fantastic political satire from 1997 with Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro. Great movie about making movies and politics. Just a really clever film. Next we have Waiting from 2005. Yeah, I love this film with Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris, Dane Cook, Justin Long, Luis Guzman. Yeah, really fun movie. If you've worked in any kind of restaurant like these, you can identify a lot with Waiting. It's a crazy good fun movie. I've always liked that film. Next we have Waking Ned Devine, good British comedy about an old guy who wins the lottery and then dies the next day, pretty much, from 1998. Next we have The War of the Roses from 1989, another great movie teaming up Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito after their success with Romancing the Stone and The Jewel in the Nile. Up next we have The Way Way Back. Absolutely love this movie from 2013. Really wonderful cast. People like Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Sam Rockwell. What's her name? Allison Janney, wonderful Maya Rudolph, and Anna Sophia Robb, who I'm a really big fan of her, or at least her work. Next we have Wayne's World, of course, classic from 1992 with Mike Myers and oh my god, I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. Dana Carvey, yeah. Also, I don't have Wayne's World 2 for some reason, and I'm a huge Aerosmith fan, which is kind of surprising now that I think about it. Alright, up next we have We're the Millers from 2013, I want to say, with Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston, Emma Roberts. A lot of fun, a lot of inappropriate scenes in this movie. I liked it a lot when I first saw it. Up next we have Wedding Crashers, of course, absolute classic from 2005. Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, fantastic. Christopher Walken, Isla Fisher, love her. Rachel McAdams, and of course Bradley Cooper's one of his early breakout roles. Just fantastic as the bad guy in that. Love Wedding Crashers. Up next we have Weekend at Bernie's from 1989 with Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman. Don't have Weekend at Bernie's 2. Have no intention of ever getting that. Up next we have The Whole Nine Yards from 2002, 2000, sorry. Fantastic fun movie with Bruce Willis, Matthew Perry, and Amanda Peet, Michael Clark Duncan. Up next we have Wild Target from 2010. Yeah, really underrated fun movie with Emily Blunt. Big fan of her, Bill Nighy, and Rupert Grint, of course, from Harry Potter fame. Up next we have Wonder Boys from 2000. Fantastic film, of course. Great performance by Michael Douglas, one of his finest. Tobey Maguire, Robert Downey Jr., wonderful. Katie Holmes, and the always stellar Frances McDormand. Great song as well by Bob Dylan that highlights that soundtrack. Up next we have Working Girl from 1988, of course, classic Mike Nichols film with Melanie Griffith, Harrison Ford, and Sigourney Weaver. My sister, a big fan of that movie. Up next we have The World's End, very similar to This Is the End. It came out like a year later. Of course, another Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost team up. Really like Martin Freeman, Eddie Marsan, and what did I say? And Rosamund Pike in this as well. Alright, up next we have never mind. Going backwards here all of a sudden. Get that back in there. Alright guys, finishing up comedies. Up next we have Yes Man from 2008 with Jim Carrey and Zooey Deschanel. Always liked her. Really like her show New Girl. Yeah, not the best Jim Carrey comedy, but still pretty decent. Very much like Liar Liar, that kind of similar tone. Up next we have Frank Capra's You Can't Take It With You from 1938 with Gene Arthur and Lionel Barrymore. Jimmy Stewart, of course. Up next, we have Youth in Revolt from 2010, I believe, with Michael Cera, Portia Doubleday, Zach Galifianakis, Justin Long, Ray Liotta, Steve Buscemi. Pretty decent from what I remember. Up next, we have another Kevin Smith film, and that is Zack and Mary Make a Porno from 2008 with Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks. What's his name? Also in it as well. Craig Robinson, really good. Yeah, like I said, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, and this is actually kind of a sweet movie despite its premise, sort of lewd premise, but there's a real kind of nice connection between Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks that underlies this movie, and yeah, I like it a lot. And last, and definitely not least, we have Zoolander from 2002. Fantastic, hilarious movie, of course, with Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Will Ferrell, and what's her name? The girl who I always forget her name. Girl who played like Marcia Brady and stuff. Christine Taylor, yeah. Yeah, so that is Zoolander. So that is comedy part 3. Thank you for watching as always. Up next we will have crime, which I'll probably split up into 2 parts. So yeah, like I said, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see ya.